Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. In this video, I will teach you the agriculture current affairs of 2022. This is set 2. Before this, I had uploaded set 1. Total, there will be 3 sets for the last 7 months current affairs, which will be very helpful for these exam. UPSC exam, ICAR exam and NABARD exam. So this video is prepared keeping in mind these 3 exams, the needs and the relevancy of these 3 exams. So let's start the set 2 now. Recently, Prime Minister Modi, he launched the 50th anniversary celebrations of the ICRISAT Institute. Now, ICRISAT stands for International Crop Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics. So, where is it located? It celebrated its golden jubilee recently. This institute was set up in 1972. It is located in Hyderabad. The answer is Hyderabad. And this is an important institute, and last year this institute also was awarded the very prestigious Africa Food Prize. Africa Food Prize 2021 was given to ICRISAT. This is a $1 lakh prize. $1 lakh was given as a part of this prize. And why ICRISAT got this prize? ICRISAT got this award for Tropical Legumes Project. And because of the Tropical Legumes Project, there are 13 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa which have improved their food security because of this Tropical Legumes Project. And another thing, ICRISAT mainly does research on which crops? So ICRISAT researches on 5 highly nutritious crops. Now all of these crops are drought tolerant. That is, these are mainly in the arid areas. That is why it is called Crop Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropic. So it does research on these. One is chickpea, one is pigeon pea, then we have pearl millet. In Hindi we call it bajra. It is one of the types of millet. Then we have sorghum or jowar in Hindi. And then we have moongfali or groundnut. You can also call groundnut as peanut, right? So these are the 5 crops on which ICRISAT does its research, and ICRISAT is supported by United Nations also, and it is a non-for-profit, non-political organization. Let's move on. Which state of India has recently launched Rajiv Gandhi Grameen Bhumihin Krishi Mazdoor Nyay Yojana for the landless laborer? Bhumihin means landless, Mazdoor is a laborer, Krishi Mazdoor means the agriculture laborer or someone who works in agriculture sector on the farms of other farmers, etc. And it is named after Rajiv Gandhi. So remember, this scheme was launched recently in Chhattisgarh. You can see Mr. Bhupesh Baghel photo is here on the official pictorial by the government of Chhattisgarh. So what is this scheme about? Now it's a very special scheme, and the reason I say special is because you can draw parallels of this scheme with PM Kisan. So PM Kisan is Pradhanmantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, where the Prime Minister of India, he gives 6,000 rupees to every farmer of India. This money is credited via the direct benefit transfer in 3 tranches of 2,000 rupees each. Total every year 6,000 rupees is given as a financial support to the farmers. This is unconditional support. Now similarly, when farmers can get 6,000 rupees every year, why not the landless laborers? Because their situation is equally precarious, right? They are also financially and socio-economically compromised. So that is why you can draw parallels. So here in this scheme also, the Chhattisgarh government will transfer 6,000 rupees via the direct benefit transfer in the accounts of the landless laborers, and it will benefit approximately 10 lakh landless agriculture laborers in Chhattisgarh. So this scheme is called Rajiv Gandhi Grameen Bhumihin Krishi Mazdoor Nyay Yojana. Do remember the amount, 6,000 rupees every year. Recently, Pradhanmantri Kisan Sampadayajna has been extended till which year? One of the most important schemes of the Ministry of Food Processing Industry. So Kisan Sampada Yojana is a scheme of which ministry? It is a scheme of the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. And this scheme will now extend till March 2026. The total allocation is 4600 crore. And what is this scheme exactly? So this scheme aims for the overall growth and development of the food processing sector, And you know, the scheme was named as Pradhanmantri Kisan Sampadayajna in 2017, but before that it was simply known as Sampada scheme. So when it was launched, it was Sampada. This was May 2017, and in the month of August, so 3 months later, it was called Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. Now, when it was launched, it was called Sampada. What is the full form of Sampada? Sampada stands for Scheme for Agro Marine Processing and Development of Agro Processing Clusters. So there are two objectives of the scheme. One is we should have more agriculture goods processing or agriculture crops processing. We should have marine products processing. And then the third is we should set up the agro processing clusters. And what are agro processing clusters? These are basically the mega food parks where the food processing is done. Now it is a central sector scheme. Central sector means where the 100% money is given by the central government. There is another type of scheme which is called centrally sponsored scheme. In a centrally sponsored scheme, the money is shared between the center and the state in different ratios. Is it clear? So the objective of this scheme is to have overall growth of the food processing sector. And so what do they want to do for that? They want to make mega food parks in India, number one. And how many mega food parks are operational in India at the moment? 22 mega food parks are running. Let me show you. These are the 22 mega food parks in India, and they are spread across the length and breadth of India, and they are mostly in the north and the central India. Most of the food parks, if you see, hardly there are any in the northeast, maybe one or two only. There is Zoram Mega Food Park in Mizoram. It was opened in 2021. And even the Indus Mega Food Park and Avanti Mega Food Park are relatively latest. So total 22 mega food parks are operational. What happens inside a mega food park? Food processing. Food processing is done. And what are the other things apart from mega food parks in Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana? So there is integrated cold chain and value addition infrastructure that the government will set up. There will be infrastructure also for the agro processing cluster. There will be creation of the backward and forward linkages, food safety and quality assurance infrastructure, human resource and institutions. They will also be set up if required. So these are the total objectives, components of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. And if you want to set up any of these, for example, if you want to set up a cold chain or if you want to set up a agro processing cluster, government provides you capital subsidy. So capital subsidy is given in the form of grants or grants in aid, which ranges from 35% to 75% depending on different projects. Understood? So if you set up any of this project, government helps you with the capital subsidy. Okay, let's move on now. Recently, India has signed an agreement with United Nations World Food Programme for the distribution of wheat in which of the following countries? So we wanted to distribute wheat in Afghanistan because in Afghanistan there was a humanitarian crisis. It was bordering on more like a drought, chronic drought in Afghanistan. It was a man-made humanitarian disaster because of the invasion of Afghanistan by the Taliban. So India will send total 50,000 MT of wheat. Total 50,000 MT of wheat is what India planned, and for that they have partnered with the World Food Programme. World Food Programme is based in Rome. Which of the following banks has launched an annual startup program which is called Agri Infinity? Agri Infinity is a Agri FinTech Enabler program. It has been launched recently by the Yes Bank. So what do they want to do? So Agri FinTech startups, they work on financial innovation across the food and agriculture sector. And Yes Bank will support them in whatever way possible. Yes Bank wants to do digital financing of these startups. So in a way, it wants to fund those startups which are into agri financial innovative solutions. Soil Health Card Day is observed on which of the following days every year? It was celebrated in 2022 also. Soil Health Card Day is celebrated on 19th of February every year. Why on 19th of February? Because Soil Health Card scheme was started by Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi on 19th of February 2015, this scheme was launched from Suratgarh. Now Suratgarh is a place in Rajasthan. So 7 years back, this scheme was started from Suratgarh in Rajasthan, Soil Health Card Scheme. And therefore this is the 7th year running of this scheme. So what is Soil Health Card Scheme? Remember, this scheme is run by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. And what they do is they go to the farms of the farmers. From there they pick up the soil samples, and then these soil samples are tested in the laboratory, and then there is a status given about 12 nutrients. This can be an important question. How many nutrients are analyzed in the soil health card scheme? So 12 nutrients are analyzed, and the samples are picked up after every 2 years. So there is a gap of 2 years, right? And soil health card scheme is provided to all the farmers of the country unconditionally, right? And which are these 12 nutrients? So for example, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, zinc, boron, iron, manganese, copper. Like that, there are 12 nutrients which are analyzed in the soil. Even the pH is tested. The soil pH is tested, and then the farmers are told that what is it that is lacking in the soil at your place, and therefore appropriate fertilizer you should add. A farmer, usually what they do is they go to the market and they pick up any random fertilizer and they bring it to the farms and they spray or they put it. But we should add only that fertilizer which is required. So if for example we are using NPK fertilizer, but nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus is already present in the soil, then why do we need NPK fertilizer? So farmers are told what is the appropriate fertilizer or what is the appropriate nutrient that you should add in the soil, and what are the fruits or vegetables if you are interested in horticulture, or otherwise what are the crops that you should grow based on the pH friendly, which crop is more suitable. All of these things are told to the farmers. So this is the soil health card scheme. It was started on 19th of February. Recently, Pradhanmantri Narendra Modi, he flagged off how many Kisan drones in different cities and towns of India to spray pesticides in the farms. Now usually the spraying of the pesticides in the Indian farms is done manually by the farmers, and a lot of farmers die in India because of the toxicity. So drones should be used, and different types of subsidies etc. are given because the farmers, they are not wealthy enough to buy drones. And recently there was a drone Kisan Yatra that was flagged off by Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi to promote chemical free farming in India. And this initiative was announced in the budget also of 2022. And the government has banned the import of drones to encourage their manufacturing in India. We want to become self-reliant, so we should manufacture the drones in India also. This is known as Drone Shakti Initiative. And we also have a mission called SMAM. SMAM means Submission on Agriculture Mechanization. We want to make the Indian agriculture more mechanized. And so 100 Kisan drones were recently flagged off by Pradhan Mantri Modi. And these drones, they are expected to have a high capacity, like 5 to 10 kg. So in these drones, there is a tank. You can fill it with pesticide, insecticide. You can even fill it with seeds, depending on the requirement. So drones can also be used for distribution of seeds, especially in those areas which are difficult to reach. For example, I remember Telangana government recently started Hara Bhara initiative, where they are planting trees using drones. And with the help of drones, they are able to distribute the seeds on mountains or those areas which are difficult to reach. And if you use drones, then you can spray pesticide on 1 acre of land in just 15 minutes. So it is not only cost effective, but it requires less effort also. Moving on to the next question. It is one of the most important questions. So lavender plant has been declared as the brand product of which district in Jammu and Kashmir? So just like in Uttar Pradesh, we have one district, one product scheme. Similarly, Jammu Kashmir also has now one district, one product. And there, lavender has been made the identity of Doda district. Now, Doda district in Jammu Kashmir is the birthplace of what we are now calling the Purple Revolution. What is Purple Revolution? You can see here, this is how the lavender plants look. They are purple in color. That is why we call it Purple Revolution. And lavender cultivation is done in almost all the 20 districts of Jammu Kashmir, but more so in Doda. Now, this is known as the aroma mission. I will tell you in detail about this. First of all, let me tell you about lavender. Now, see, lavender is not found, see, it is not native to India. It is native to Europe. So, lavender is a crop of Europe essentially, but we are growing lavender. Why? Because if farmers grow lavender, it can increase their income significantly. Lavender is an aromatic plant, lavender is a medicinal plant, and lavender oil is sold for 10,000 rupees per kg. So, it's very expensive, right? And in Kashmir, very good quality of lavender is grown. So what CSIR is doing? Now CSIR stands for Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. They have a laboratory which we call the Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine, which is based in Jammu. And this laboratory is also helping CSIR in the aroma mission. What is aroma mission? The government of India, they are distributing the seeds of the lavender plant to the farmers in Jammu Kashmir free of cost, encouraging the farmers to grow lavender so that they can increase their income. This is called aroma mission. Now the seeds are provided by Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, which is located in Lucknow. Seeds are provided by Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Lucknow, and there is a Jammu based laboratory, Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine. It is also helping in the aroma mission. So aroma mission is being run by Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. The mission's objective is very clear. You cultivate important medicinal and aromatic plants in India and help the agro economy and increase the income of the farmers. So lavender plant is the one district, one product of DODA. Lavender will be associated now with DODA. Recently, which of the following country has hosted the G7 Agriculture Ministers Meeting 2022? So it was held recently in Germany. And so basically, you don't need to remember separately G7 Agriculture Ministers Meeting. You know that the G7 summit this year took place in Schloss Elmo, which is located in the Bavarian Alps in Germany. Bavaria is a place in southeast Germany where we have Munich also, right? So G7 Agriculture Ministers meeting took place here, and they talked about inflation, they talked about Russia's invasion of Ukraine and how it is leading to a global food insecurity, because Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe. In Ukraine, almost 85% of the land which is fit for agriculture, there they grow grains. So it provides a lot of grains to Europe. And because the agriculture and everything is completely destroyed now by Russia, so it has led to a humanitarian disaster. Which of the following is the first state in India to introduce carbon neutral farming for better soil health? So this is an initiative that was taken in Kerala recently to introduce carbon neutral farming, and for that Kerala government will spend 6 crore rupees also. This was announced in the Kerala budget. So what is carbon neutral farming? So carbon neutral farming is a farming where you change the way you do agriculture so that there is less carbon footprint. So for example, you improve the soil health. How do you achieve carbon neutral farming? You improve the soil health. Number two, you rotate the crops. Then you adopt the precision farming methods. You change the way soil is irrigated. You use less fertilizers, etc., and try to prevent soil degradation. Now all of these if you do, then you can achieve carbon neutral farming, and it will be implemented in all the 140 assembly constituencies in Kerala. Is it understood? So Kerala is the first state to start carbon neutral farming. And talking of soil degradation, let me tell you an important point about soil degradation. Do you remember there is something called UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. If you prevent the soil from degradation, you also prevent desertification. And what is India's target in this regard? India's target is to restore 26 million hectare of land by 2030. This is India's commitment, that India will not let 26 million hectare of land become a desert by 2030. India will restore 26 million hectare of land by 2030. This is India's long-term target. Recently, Niti Aayog and which of the following organization, they launched a book called Indian Agriculture Towards 2030. So this is a comprehensive book, and recently it is an initiative of the Niti Aayog along with the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. This book talks about the pathways. You can see the pathways for enhancing farmers' income, nutritional security, and sustainable food and farm systems. So this was released by Niti Aayog and FAO. Which of the following state of India has replaced West Bengal as the top vegetable producer for the year 2021-22? Now this is the very latest figure by the government of India, and I think it is very important for any agriculture exam. You should know which is the leading producer of fruits and vegetable. When we grow fruits and vegetables, we call it horticulture. We call it horticulture. Understood? And sometimes even the growing of the flowers is considered a part of horticulture. Now here you can see that in terms of fruit production, Andhra remains number 1. Andhra last year also was number 1. Maharashtra number 2 and UP number 3. Try to remember at least the first 3 positions. Okay. Andhra, for the last 6 or 7 years, Andhra is number 1. So there is no change. Andhra remains the top fruit producer in India. And then let's talk about now the vegetable production. So in vegetable production last year, West Bengal was number 1, but in the financial year 22 that ended on 31st of March 2022, UP has now leapfrogged West Bengal. So UP is now number 1, West Bengal number 2, and Madhya Pradesh is at number 3. So which is the top vegetable producer? It is not West Bengal now, it is Uttar Pradesh. And in fruit production, Andhra Pradesh is number 1. I hope this is clear. Recently, digital J forms, they were in news, which will benefit the farmers to sell their crop at MSP in the mandis. These forms are provided by which of the following state government? So this is very easy to understand. Now, in a lot of states, the farmers, they don't sell directly. They sell through the middlemen called Aadhatiyas. So the farmers, they go to Aadhatiyas, they give them their crop produce, and Aadhatiyas, they sell into the market. And then there is a form called J form. J form is now provided to the farmers, right? But since Aadhatiyas are going to sell, the market gives the J form to the Aadhatiyas. J form has all the accounts of whatever is being sold, right? So J form is like a sale receipt of a farmer's agricultural produce that is sold in the mandi or the APMCs. So, but the problem is lot of these middlemen, they keep the J forms with themselves, which does not allow the farmer to know how much of his crops have been sold, what are the price in return, etc. etc. So to prevent this, the J forms will be now digital and they will be sent directly to the farmers by the market association on their WhatsApp, so that the middlemen are eliminated. These forms were earlier issued manually by the Aadhatiyas or commission agents, because in Punjab a majority of farmers, they sell their crops through such agents only. So but by getting the digitized J form, farmers will now have a very clear record of the crop sold and income received in exchange of their crops. So the answer is this will be implemented in Punjab. Which of the following state has launched the portal Mukhyamantri Bagwani Bima Yojana to compensate the crop losses due to adverse weather and natural calamities? So it has been launched by the government of Haryana. You can see ML Khattar, Manohar Lal Khattar, the Chief Minister of Haryana, on the government advertisement. So what is this scheme? Now there are two categories. One is vegetables and spices, and the second category is fruits. So for fruits, the compensation will be 40,000 per acre, and for vegetables and spices, the compensation will be 30,000 per acre. So if you are growing, let's say, fruits, and all of your fruits, they fruits, they get destroyed because of any natural calamity. Now natural calamity is what? It can be thunderstorms, it can be excessive rainfall, it can be lack of rainfall, or any other miscellaneous natural calamity. Then up to 40,000 per acre will be given by the government as damages, and up to 30,000 per acre if you are growing vegetables and spices. Of course, you have to pay the premium also. So premium is 5%. So if you are premium is only 5%. In case of vegetables and spices, government will charge approximately 750 per acre as the premium, right? So in this case it is a little higher, and in case of fruits it is 1000 rupees per acre. 1000 rupees per acre, and 750 rupees per acre is the premium that you have to pay for vegetables and spices, and 1000 per acre if you are growing fruits. This is the premium, and this scheme will cover 21 crops, 14 vegetables, 5 fruits and 2 spices. And for that the government of Haryana has a portal also, which is called Meri Fasal Mera Byora. Meri Fasal Mera Byora portal will implement Mukhyamantri Bagwani Bima Yojana. Let's move on now. Recently, One Health project, pilot project, was launched in which state? So One Health is a project which consists of 3 types of health: environmental health, human health and animal health. AHE, animal health, human health and environmental health. And the pilot project was started recently in Uttarakhand. And in Karnataka also One Health project was launched, but after Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand was the first state and Karnataka was second. So Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairy, the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy. The answer is Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, which comes under the Ministry of Animal Husbandry, Fisheries and Dairy. They have launched the pilot project of One Health framework in India. Is it understood? Okay, let's move on. By the way, one question can come that we are setting up the Center for One Health where? Center for One Health. So we are setting it up in Nagpur. We are setting it up in Nagpur, the Center for One Health. How much value has the Indian agriculture exports touched for the financial year 2022? So the agriculture exports of India, they set a new record. Total was $50.2 billion. You can say approximately 50 billion. You round it up. Exact number was 50.2. And you can see that majority of our agriculture export in value was rice. So rice is 9.6 billion and it is 9% more compared to last year, last financial year or financial year 21, because I am talking about financial year 22 here, very latest. So rice is our majorly exported commodity in terms of value. Second is marine products, $7.7 billion. Sugar was $4.6 billion. Spices 3.9. And all of these are records. So rice, this is a record, 9.6. We have never exported rice worth $9.65 billion earlier. Wheat is a record, 2.1. This is a record. Sugar and wheat are all, sugar also is a record. Wheat and rice and even the other cereals. So all of these are records. In fact, you can see wheat export increased by 273%, right? So which is that commodity that brings that maximum foreign exchange? It is rice. $9.6 billion of rice we sold. Second is marine products and total was 50.2. So do remember this table. This is extremely important. In fact, even the coffee exports of India hit $1 billion, which helped immensely the farmers of Karnataka and Kerala. And even the Araku Valley in Visakhapatnam in Andhra, that is where the coffee is grown. Karnataka, Kerala and Araku Valley. So coffee export of India also hit $1 billion, which was a huge surprise. And even spices, no one was expecting we will export spices worth almost $4 billion. But this is a good work done by two organizations. One is APEDA and one is MPEDA. What is the difference between APEDA and MPEDA? So APEDA is the exporting authority for agriculture products. MPEDA is the exporting authority for marine products. That is the only difference. The World Food Price Index was released by which organization? Now, World Food Price Index is released by the Food and Agriculture Organization, and it keeps a track of the food prices across the globe, right? We are going through extreme inflation in food prices because of the Russia-Ukraine war. The supply chains have disrupted and there is a shortage of now everything. Shortage of labor, shortage of crops, shortage of seeds, shortage of fertilizers, because the entire global supply chain has been disrupted. And that is why there is a shortage of everything. The price of the crude oil is all-time high, and because of all these reasons, the inflation is touching a peak. When I say inflation, there are two types of inflation, CPI and WPI. CPI inflation is about the retail price that you pay when you go to the market. WPI inflation is the wholesale, right? For CPI inflation, Goods and services both are calculated, inflation on goods and services, but in WPI only it includes goods. Services are not included when you calculate the WPI inflation. Let's move to a very important question. So Horticulture Cluster Development Program has been started by the Government of India. Horticulture Cluster. Now it's very self-explanatory. We will develop horticulture clusters in India where horticulture can be done at a large scale. And what is the advantage of having a cluster? When there is a cluster, it means there are many companies at one place, right? So let's say these are many industries at one place. Now they can use common resources, common machines, common personnel. As a result, you achieve the economies of scale, or your cost of production decreases significantly. So we will develop horticulture clusters in India, and this scheme has been started by National Horticulture Board, right? And horticulture cluster is a geographical concentration of targeted horticulture crops. So how many horticulture clusters we will set up in India? Number one question. It is 53 clusters. So in horticulture cluster development program, we are targeting 53 clusters to be set up. And how many we will set up in the first phase? In the first phase, we will set up 12 clusters. But eventually we will set up 53. We will do it in a phased manner because it is not easy. So we will initially focus on 12 clusters. Which are these 12 clusters? So let me show you the list. And these are the clusters for a specific crop. So we will have apple cluster at two places, Shopian in Jammu Kashmir and Kinnaur in Himachal. Then we will have mango cluster at three places, Lucknow in UP, Kutch in Gujarat, Mehboob Nagar in Telangana. For banana, we will set up the cluster in Anantapur and Theni. Theni is in Tamil Nadu, Anantapur is in Andhra. For grapes, we will set a cluster in Nashik in Maharashtra. For pineapple, Sifa Jila in Tripura. Pomegranate, we will set up cluster in Sholapur in Maharashtra and Chitradurga in Karnataka. And for turmeric, we will set up a cluster in West Jaintia Hills, which is in Meghalaya. Is it clear? And on top of that, now the government has said that we will set up, a cluster in Anantapur, Kurnool and Kadapa. And all of these three places are in Andhra Pradesh. All of the three places which I told you, they are in Andhra Pradesh. So these three places will be a part of Horticulture Cluster Development Board. Is it understood? And National Horticulture Board will provide 100 crore funding. 100 crore funding, right? As its share of 40%. So 40% or 100 crore will be provided by NHB and 60% money will be invested by the private agencies. So NHB is giving a support of 40% up to 100 crore. And in Andhra Pradesh, banana cluster is the main cluster, right? Banana. I showed you here also that you can see for banana, Anantapur cluster in Andhra is listed. But there will also be cluster for banana in Kurnool and Kadapa. So for banana, there will be three clusters from Andhra, Anantapur, Kurnool and Kadapa. All the three will be for banana. Okay, and do check out all these clusters because one of these will surely be asked in the exam. And let me tell you a little bit about horticulture because it is important to understand in a context. India is the second largest producer of horticulture crops. And India accounts for 12% of the world's production of fruits and vegetables. All the fruit and vegetable that is produced in India, 12% comes from India. And India is leading producer in the world in many horticulture fruits and vegetable like Amla. We are the leading producer of Amla. Amla I think is gooseberry. Then mango, we are number one. Banana, we are number one. Even pomegranate, we are number one. So we are number one in the world in lot of fruits and vegetables. Let's move on. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, it has given its approval for the supply of fortified rice through various government schemes by which year? Now another aspect of food security. So there is something called as hidden hunger. Now sometimes what happen is that we are consuming the food, but we are not taking appropriate nutrition. So hidden hunger is a form of undernutrition that occurs when intake and absorption of vitamins and minerals is low. So for example, you are eating food in good quantity, but it lacks in vitamins and minerals. That is called hidden hunger. For that we use the word hidden hunger. Now a lot of food in India is based on rice and wheat, but there are certain problems, right? A lot of things are absent in rice and wheat. So one way by which we can address the undernutrition in India is we add those things in rice which are which it doesn't have naturally. So this is called food fortification. And food fortification in India is being done for rice now, but later it will be for other crops also. Now rice fortification, this rice that has been fortified will be distributed as a part of different schemes like Targeted Public Distribution Scheme, National Food Security Act. So Targeted Public Distribution Scheme is a part of National Food Security Act, Integrated Child Development Services, Pradhanmantri Poshan Yojana, and other welfare schemes. So whatever the rice that will be distributed in these schemes will be the fortified rice, and it will be done in 3 phases. First phase, phase number 1, we will cover Integrated Child Development Services and PM Poshan. So this will be done by March 2022. Second phase, we will target TPDS, that is Targeted Public Distribution System under National Food Security Act, and we will target other welfare scheme. There are approximately 291 districts. We will target TPDS and OWS in only the aspirational and high burden districts, which are approximately 291 in India. This will be done by March 2023. Then we will go to the third phase. In third phase, we will distribute the fortified rice in the remaining districts of India. In the second phase, we did in 291 districts which are aspirational or high burden. And the remainder of districts in India, we will, we will distribute by March 2024. So this is phase 3. So rice fortification in India will be done in 3 phases. Is it clear? And the entire cost of rice fortification will be around 2700 crore per annum. And by what time rice fortification will be complete in India? Rice fortification will be implemented by June 2024 in the entire India. This needs to be done. This is a target of the government of India that we will distribute the fortified rice. And I told you different deadlines. March 2022 phase 1 ICDS PM Poshan, then phase 2 291 districts TPDS and OWS in aspirational and high burden district by March 2023, and phase 3 all the remaining districts of India by March 2024. So it will be done roughly by June 2024. Government has set a concrete deadline for the same. Now the next thing is, what is this rice, fortified rice? So according to the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, if you take 1 kg of fortified rice, then it will have these following things. It will have iron around 28 milligram to 42.5 milligram. It will have folic acid approximately 75 to 125 microgram, and it will have vitamin B12 approximately 0.75 to 1.25 microgram. So what are the 3 things that will be added in fortified rice in India? So iron will be added, folic acid will be added, and vitamin B12 will also be added. In addition, sometimes zinc can also be added, or other types of vitamin B can also be added. This is fortified rice. So what is the deadline? Deadline is 2024. Understood now? Let's move on. Which of the following product from Kangra of Himachal will soon get a European Commission geographical indication tag? Lot of products in India have got the GI tag. From Himachal also we have lot of products which have got GI tag like Chamba Rumal and all of these things. But insofar as agriculture is concerned, it is the Kangra Tea. It has now got a European Commission geographical indication tag. It will help Kangra Tea to get an opportunity to enter the European markets. And Kangra Tea has also got the Indian GI tag. It got it in 2005. A GI tag is what? GI tag is given when it is a surety that a particular taste or fragrance or quality of a product is because it is coming from a particular area. Then GI tag is given. And there is a logo also of GI tag. So Kangra tea is grown in the Kangra district of Himachal. It is known for its unique taste and flavor and smell. And it has a lot of antioxidants also, which are helpful for our health. The central government, they are setting up India's first seaweed park in which state? India's first seaweed park will be set up in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, and why it will be set up? What purpose it will do? So basically, seaweed is a common name to the marine plants and algae that grow in the ocean as well as the rivers. And seaweeds, they are helpful for feeding the marine animals. Understood? Seaweed actually is a misnomer. You might think that seaweed is a type of weed. No, seaweed is a small plants that grow inside water bodies. They are seaweeds. So in fact, seaweeds can be very large in size also. They grow into abundant forest, and they are very helpful as a food for the marine animals. So in a way, this seaweed park will have the processing of the seaweeds. It will be inside a special economic zone in Tamil Nadu. Recently, who among the following has been appointed as the new chairman of the Indian Pulses and Grains Association? Grains, you already know. Pulses is what we call dal, in colloquial language. And there is an association called India Pulses and Grains Association. And what is this? What is this association? So this association is basically the apex body for pulses and grains trade and industry in India. And there are more than 10,000 stakeholders which are a part of this association. So the new chairman of Pulses and Grain Association will be Mr. Bimal Kothari. Bimal Kothari. And which is the largest pulses producing state of India? Any idea about it? Actually, for this you have to refer to the economic survey. The latest economic survey, and economic survey is always of the previous year. So the economic survey that was in 2022 is actually of financial year 21. So I have taken the screenshot from the economic survey. This is the very latest economic survey, and you can see the top producer of everything from economic survey, because I think that is something that you should trust, over and above the government reports. So economic survey is something that you have to quote in the exam. Now you can see for rice, the leading producer was West Bengal, and just remember the leading producer. You don't have to remember rank 2, 3, 4. Just remember leading producer. If you can remember the leading producer, it is good enough. For wheat, it is UP. For maize, it is Karnataka. For total nutri or coarse cereals, it is Rajasthan. Tur dal is Maharashtra. Gram is Madhya Pradesh. Total pulses Madhya Pradesh. So if you have to know which is the top pulses producer in India, the answer will be Madhya Pradesh, according to the economic survey. Second is Rajasthan, third is Maharashtra. Total food grains in India, total food grains. So total food grains is UP. Total food grains is UP. Total pulses is Madhya Pradesh. Clear? Rice is West Bengal and wheat is UP. Let's take a look at some more. Let's take a look at the oil seeds. Okay. Groundnut is Gujarat by far. Gujarat is the leading producer of groundnut. Rapeseed and mustard is Rajasthan. Soya bean is Maharashtra. Sunflower is Karnataka. So total oil seeds is Rajasthan. Okay. Total, if you take all the oil seeds together, then the answer would be Rajasthan. But if you take individually, then you have to mark accordingly. Sugarcane is UP. Cotton is Maharashtra. Jute and Mesta is West Bengal. So all of these are according to the economic survey. Is it clear? Recently, which of the following state government has decided to use an ancient broadcasting technique of direct seeding of rice to grow rice? Direct seeding of rice, a lot of states in India are doing it, and recently it was announced by Punjab state that they will use direct seeding of rice. Punjab government has decided to bring an area of 1.2 million hectare under direct seeding of rice. Understood? And 1.2 million hectare is their target. Right now it is approximately 0.6 million hectare. Now direct seeding of rice is becoming very popular in Punjab and Haryana because it is not labor intensive, number one, and there is a shortage of labor after COVID. Also, what happens in direct seeding of rice, how it is different. In direct seeding of rice, we use pre-germinated seeds. They are directly drilled into the field by a tractor powered machine, and there is no nursery preparation or transplantation required, right? Also, the water that is required is much less, 35% less water is required according to Punjab Agriculture University. And earlier we used transplanting. In transplanting, the farmers, they used to prepare nurseries where the paddy seeds were sown and raised into young plants, and then these young plants were uprooted and replanted after almost a month into the main field. But now we are planting the pre-germinated seeds directly into the field, and we are not using a nursery. Is it understood? And water is saved because the first irrigation under DSR is necessary only 21 days after sowing. So approximately 35% less water is consumed, and there is less requirement of labor. Also, the methane emission is much less. Soil is less disturbed in this technique, and there is more productivity. Understood? And what is the disadvantage of direct seeding of rice? So disadvantage is herbicides or weed. Weeds are a big problem in DSR technique. And then land leveling is compulsory. So land has to be leveled in this technique. And DSR method is not suitable for every types of soil. There are some types of soil where DSR method is not useful. The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, they have launched a campaign called Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari. Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari, which means Kisan Bhagidari means participation of farmers. Prathmikta Hamari means it is our priority. To spread awareness about which scheme? So this is to spread awareness about PM Fasal Bima Yojana, Pradhanmantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So this was a 7-day campaign from 25th of April to 30th of April 2022, and there was awareness about Pradhanmantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Recently, which of the following institution has announced to formulate a farmer distress index? Farmer distress index will be made by NABARD. It's very, very important. What is farmer distress index? See, all the farmers in India, they are not under the same stress. Some farmers are more miserable, some are less miserable, some are good, well off, happy. So every farmer is different. But the problem is, if you make any distress package, then the package is same for all the farmers, which should not be there, right? So NABARD will start a farmer distress index where it will try to identify the which farmers are into very high distress, which farmers are into less distress, and all of these category. And accordingly, distress packages can be made by the government of India. So it will help in proper allocation of the resources of the government of India, because not every farmer requires the same kind of help, same kind of subsidy. Understood? Right now there is an umbrella package for all the farmers. So that should not be done. So it will be made by NABARD. Which of the following state has inaugurated India's first greenfield grain-based ethanol plant? We are making all these ethanol plant because we want a lot of ethanol in India. Ethanol is C2H5OH. Why do we want so much ethanol? Because we want to mix it in petrol. How much mixing? So we have already achieved 10% ethanol mixing. This we achieved well before the target. So 10% ethanol mixing we have already done in India. We have already achieved the target, and 20% we want to do by 2025. Earlier the target was 2030. It was preponed to 2025. So it was set up recently in Bihar. It was set up in Bihar by Eastern India Biofuels Private Limited. Eastern India Biofuels Private Limited. Now, let me ask you, what is the advantage of mixing ethanol in crude oil or petrol? Why do we want to mix ethanol in petrol, and that also 20%? What is the meaning of 20% mixing? It means if you are using 1 liter of petrol in your car, out of that 800 ml should be petrol and remaining 200 ml should be ethanol. Then the ratio is 20%. Understood? What is the meaning of 20%? 20% ethanol means in 20% the remaining 80% will be petrol. Now what is the advantage? So there are a lot of advantages. Number one, ethanol is produced from various natural sources like maize, wheat, rice, etc. and therefore farmers will have more income because farmers' crops will be used to produce ethanol. Ethanol is produced domestically. That is the first advantage. Second advantage is that petrol is not a clean fuel. You know that there is a lot of smoke that goes into the atmosphere by our cars every day, right? Petrol is not a clean fuel, but ethanol is a clean fuel. It leaves no residue also. So that is why it is good for our country becoming net neutral, carbon neutral. And the third advantage is that we completely depend on the import of petrol from countries like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and all of these countries. It increases our import bill. Therefore, it puts us into current account deficit. Our current account deficit will decrease if we buy less petrol. So these are some advantages of using ethanol in petrol. Recently, Agricultural and Processed Food Product Export Development Authority (APEDA) launched a variety of millet products for all age groups at the Ahar Food Fair. It was organized in which city? What is so special about these millets? So they are for lot of other age groups, right? So it was launched at the Ahar festival. It was organized in Delhi recently. And what was the theme? The theme was to promote GI products for export. This was the theme of the Ahar festival. Understood? And there were different kinds of millets. Like for example, a lot of people are intolerant to some types of millets. So for them, different types of millets were launched. Gluten-free, I'll give you an example. Gluten-free millets were recently launched. Gluten-free because some people are intolerant to gluten, which is present in millet. So like that, different types of millets which cater to all the age groups were launched recently. And 2023 is the UN Year of Millets, International Year of Millets. Global Report on Food Crisis was launched by which of the following organization recently? Global Report on Food Crisis was released by Global Network Against Food Crisis, or GNFAC. Global Network Against Food Crisis. And what does this report say? It talks about people who are suffering from acute food insecurity, like people in Ethiopia, Madagascar, South Sudan, Yemen. They are suffering from lot of food insecurity. Extreme weather has also forced a lot of people into food insecurity. Conflict, economic shocks, they are also responsible for putting the people into misery. And this report is also supported by FSIN. What is FSIN? So FSIN is a global initiative which is co-sponsored by FAO and World Food Programme and also International Food Policy Research Institute. So three organizations have started FSIN. So Global Network Against Food Crisis and FSIN, they both have released this important report. Who among the following has been awarded the World Food Prize? World Food Prize is given to a scientist from NASA called Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig of the United States of America for her research to understand the relationship between climate and food. So, and you know, in 2020, one Indian, Dr. Ratan Lal, he was given this award in 2020. But for 2022, it is given to Cynthia Rosenzweig. And World Food Prize is one of the most important international awards. It recognizes the achievements of individuals who have advanced human development by improving the availability, quantity, or quality of the food. So there is a cash award of $250,000 and there is a global recognition. And this award is presented during the World Food Day, which is celebrated on 16th of October. 16th of October. And it is given by the World Food Prize Foundation, which is based in America. Now, who started this award? This award was started by Dr. Norman Borlaug. He is known as the father of the Green Revolution globally. So World Food Prize was created in 1986. 1986. Sometimes it is also known as the Nobel Prize for Food and Agriculture. And who was the first recipient of this prize in 1987? It was M.S. Swaminathan, the father of the Green Revolution in India. He was the winner of the World Food Prize in the first edition in 1987. Which of the following organization has released Global Food Policy Report? Climate Change and Food Systems. Global Food Policy Report, Climate Change and Food System is released recently by International Food Policy Research Institute. International Food Policy Research Institute. And this gives certain warning to India. What warning is given to India? It says that India's food production can drop 16% and the number of people who are at risk of hunger can increase by 23% by 2030 because of the climate change. Another thing that this report says is that the number of Indians who are at risk from hunger, their number by 2030 will be 73.9 million. And if you take into account the climate change, then the number will be even higher. It will be 90.6 million. 90.6 million people in India will be at a risk from hunger if you take into account the climate change. But even without a severe climate change, the number will still be 73.9 million. Right? But this report says something positive also, that the climate change will not affect the average calorie consumption of Indians, which is roughly 2600 kilocalorie per person per day. 2600 kilocalorie per person per day is the average calorie consumption in India. Is it clear? So this is what this report says. The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, they have signed a MOU with which organization for technical assistance to Pradhanmantri Fasal Bima Yojana and Kisan Credit Card. So which organization will provide technological assistance to these two schemes? Remember, technical assistance will be provided to these by United Nations Development Program, UNDP, which is headquartered in New York. And from Kisan Credit Card, you can take a loan up to 3 lakh rupees. And out of the 3 lakh, 1.6 lakh, up to 1.6 lakh is collateral free loan. And a lot of farmers in India, they take loan through KCC. Recently, under whose chairmanship, the government has announced the formation of the Cotton Council of India. Cotton Council of India, remember, its chairman will be Suresh Bhai Kotak. Cotton Council of India is a new organization in India, and it has been set up under the Ministry of Textile. So the decision to set up Cotton Council of India was taken recently, and it will, address the main problem of India, which is declining cotton productivity. Cotton, of course, is a kharif crop in India, and it is very important insofar as India's overall sector is concerned, because India is the second largest producer of cotton in the world after China. And we also have a Cotton Corporation of India, which was set up in 1970 under the Ministry of Textiles. International Tea Day was observed on which day? Tea again is very important for our exports. Tea is a beverage. Tea is not a plant. Tea is a beverage which is made from a plant called Camellia sinensis. So Camellia sinensis is the name of the plant, tea plant, and it is the world's most consumed drink after water. So in India, Assam is the leading producer of tea. And if you talk about districts, then Darjeeling district is the leading producer of tea. But Darjeeling is in West Bengal, not in Assam. So the first tea day was observed in 2020. So it is not a very old day. We celebrate it on 21st of May. 21st of May. It was only the third tea day that we celebrated. So that was the video for agriculture current affairs set number 2. Again, I am trying to be as comprehensive as possible so that you get a good not only knowledge but confidence when you go into your exam. That is why I am covering the current affairs in a very 360-degree format. Is it understood? So this is the agriculture current affairs set number 2. I will see you very soon in set number 3. That will be the last set of our agriculture current affairs for different exams. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, and do share and like, and do put a comment if you have any doubt, if you have not understood anything. By the way, I also teach daily current affairs on our mobile app StudyIQ. Download it. I have given the link in the description below. Thank you for watching StudyIQ.